All right, Saagar, what are you looking at?
Well, a very interesting thing happened yesterday. It appeared neoliberal shapeshifter Pete Buttigieg reconciled himself with the failed legacy of Barack Obama and offered a new path. Buttigieg appeared to have been quoted by an LA Times reporter discussing how he would respond to, quote, "The failures of the Obama era help explain how we got Trump." The quote was widely circulated on Twitter. Julian Castro took the opportunity to hit Buttigieg on it, all before Monday morning when it was corrected. The story of that correction and the response perfectly describes Buttigieg and his candidacy. Buttigieg's actual quote was, "The failures of the old normal help explain how we got Trump." That, of course, is a completely meaningless anodyne phrase. Even better, Buttigieg himself quote tweeted the reporter who issued the correction saying, "I appreciate this reporter's swift and honest correction of a misquote on my views of the Obama presidency. From healthcare to DADT repeal to the rescue of the auto industry, my appreciation of Barack Obama comes from a very personal place." Oh, Pete, you were so close to being right in the misquote that I almost had hope for you. Buttigieg's actual quote about the old normal, followed by bending over backwards to talk about how much he loves Obama, tells everything that you need to know about Buttigieg. The truth is, Buttigieg's old normal pretty much looks like what a new normal under him would be. Lots of woke progressive executive orders while kowtowing to Wall Street and the neoliberal class in every other area of his presidency. To give you an idea of who is supporting Pete Buttigieg, listen to this perfect quote from Politico. Glenn Rockman, a 38-year-old biotech investor from Adjuvant Capital in Manhattan, says, "I was shocked by the practical and substantive kind of centrist nature of his commentary and how inspirational I thought he could be. And basically, I hate how far left the primary has gone." You cannot make that up, folks. A biotech investor at a Manhattan private equity firm with a recurring Pete Buttigieg donation. It's almost too perfect. Politico gives up Buttigieg's entire game later on, saying, quote, "Interviews with nearly a dozen Buttigieg backers in the investment community suggest the South Bend mayor's mix of progressive stands on social issues and more moderate approaches to taxation, healthcare, and the financial industry more broadly have kicked off a mini movement among young investor types." So let's get this straight. People in the investment community are excited about Pete Buttigieg because they only have faith that he'll enact a bunch of socially liberal policies if he somehow manages to become president of the United States. He has the most billionaire donors of any other candidate in this race. And as I said before, how you're funding your campaign and who is most excited about your candidacy tells us everything that we need to know about you. What bothers me most about Buttigieg is his unabashed waffling, careerism, and his emptiness. It remains perfectly encapsulated in one of his first ads that we shared on this show, which of course prompted raucous laughter from me and our panel. Let's relive that for old time's sake. You know, I'd never thought that we needed real solutions, Rachel. I was such a profound and dreamy man. I was just seduced by his dreamy white shirt and lack of jacket, and I just thought,
can you imagine a more anodyne message, honestly?
Buttigieg began his campaign as a Medicare for All progressive mayor from the interior of the country. Now he's a centrist Democrat who previous reports indicate dropped lines from his stump speech about abolishing the Electoral College and packing the Supreme Court because his Wall Street donors told him that those things were just a tad too radical. His entire tactic in the Democratic race appears to be attacking people for being too far left, then saying very stupid, meaningless things in a way that sound nice to some boomers. Buttigieg is the type of guy who's been salivating to be president of the United States since he was like 12, and it shows just a bit too much in his career choices. He wants to change the system, but he loves Obama, who is the face of the old system. In short, he really doesn't want to change anything at all. And I loved that
Speaking
quote.
the hard truth there, Mayor Pete. Good work.
I loved that quote from Adjuvant Capital.
That's so good.
It was too perfect. I mean, a Manhattan private equity guy who's like, well, me and my friends, we just love Pete Buttigieg. You know, we were right down on the Upper West Side having brunch the other day, and we just couldn't stop raving about this guy.
That good centrism. Yeah. It's amazing. Remember when New York Times did those donor maps?
Yeah.
And like the whole country was like basically Bernie Sanders. But then when you zoomed in on just New York and you zoomed in on just like the financial district in Manhattan,
it was just like all
there was a little Buttigieg island of support. It's perfect.
It was there. It was like the upper east and west side.
Right.
And then it was like Bernie in like the middle of the country. Elizabeth
and
Warren.
Bernie was all the boroughs too.
Elizabeth Warren was like in the middle, like, or she was what, the DC suburbs and the professional class.
Yes,
that was like
right.
It was, that map was so perfect. That's the thing is about donations. Donations tell us everything. Like the people who give you money are your most ardent supporters, and that is where everything that we need to know about.
But here's the thing: it's like, I mean, this is the problem. He actually knows the right answer. When you say the old normal, like
that means
how
Obama.
Is Obama not the old normal, or it's just literally completely meaningless? It doesn't make any sense what he said.
Yeah, exactly. It's just. That's what I was saying. I was like, you should have just gone with Obama at that point. I mean, the old normal, and he was like, oh, but I didn't mean to criticize Obama.
He's got way too many Obama donors for that, Saagar.
There's far too much crossover support, and they want to hear the old normal because the old normal has nothing to do with them, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Next on Rising. We are 356 days from Election Day 2020, apparently, and the president's re-election campaign is in full swing.
The director of communications for President Trump's re-election campaign, he tells us about their 2020 platform, how they are battling the impeachment narrative next.